Hi, so I want to just talk a little bit about the difference between the CUB, a birth ball and a birth stool. These are very common questions that people ask us. So we'll start with the ball. This is quite a small ball, but it's just easier to use for the filming. So, firstly, there is no such thing as a birth ball. They are all designed as exercise balls. Nobody can actually give birth sitting on a ball either. It doesn't really work very well. They're a fantastic product to promote upright positions in early labour. There are different shaped ones, there are peanut balls, and they're really good as well for people using them if they happen to be confined to bed for some reason. They have an epidural. It can really just help with positioning and helping somebody be comfortable. Big disadvantages are none of them, including peanut balls, are actually biocompatible. They are inexpensive because they are made with very cheap PVC that is full of plasticizers. In comparison to it, the CUB was designed to be biocompatible, and it has, although it's made of exactly the same material, the CUB doesn't have all of these plasticizers in it, so it looks different. It doesn't look that kind of rubbery way that balls do. The CUB also has a biocompatible coating on it, which makes it feel really smooth and gives it that more matte look. The CUB also, as a safety feature, has two separate inflation chambers. It'd be very unlikely for both of these to go at one time. So if you did get a puncture in one section, all that would happen is the person would get a little closer to the surface the CUB was on. Compared to the birth ball, if this had a major puncture in it, even the slow puncture ones, this is going to deflate all in a oneer. It's not going to give you the same length of time or the same range of options as the CUB would. The thickness of the ball is also very thin, and again that's because they are relatively cheap to manufacture and to buy. The thickness of the material, the PVC that the CUB is made from, is the same thickness as inflatable birth pools, professional inflatable birth pools. It also has a double layer thickness on the top and on the bottom as well. It has a range of, you can probably see these indentations along the top there, and that's because there are internal ribs which again give it a lot of structure, make it more stable and make it safer, more robust as well. However, it does have all the advantages of being comfortable because it's inflatable. It has the same advantages as the ball in terms of it's very lightweight, it's easy to transport. Compared to something like a birth stool, it's relatively inexpensive, although more expensive than a ball, but it is a completely different product. So that's the difference really between the ball and the CUB. The other thing to mention is the ball can only be used by those who are able to balance against it. That's not actually the case with the CUB, but we'll go on to that as well. So what's the difference between a birth stool, and this is a very nice one here, but there are lots of different types. There are wood ones, there are metal ones, there are ones made out of rigid plastic, and they all have their uses and have helped various women in various circumstances. The advantages of them are they tend to be effective when used at the right time. They tend to be relatively easy to transport, although they obviously don't change in size or shape. It's much easier to move a ball or a CUB. They are easy to clean as well. Some people really love them, other people don't. There has been some questions about how long they should be used for. Some studies have shown, some research have shown that people that use birth stools for an extended period of time, it inhibits venous return causes perineal congestion, so you're more likely to have a tear and an increased blood loss. Other people say that's not their experience of using them, but studies have shown that there is an increase in perineal trauma when rigid birth stools are used for an extended period of time. So ideally, a birth stool is something that really should be used in the second stage of labour to help bring the baby down. Some women find them really uncomfortable to be on for any length of time. Some providers aren't that keen on them, but other people are. Again, it's a tool that might work for some but not work for others. So it has its advantages and disadvantages, but what are they compared to the CUB? Well, the main one is, on a birth stool, you can really only use it to sit on, and I have seen photos online of people that sell birth stools, rigid birth stools, with people in wholly optimistic positions that in the real world most people aren't going to use because they're quite uncomfortable, they're hard, they're not easy to use. So really they're designed for people to sit on. That's their main purpose, for people to sit on them, not for any other purpose, although some people do try and use them in other ways. The CUB, in comparison, is really designed to be used in a number of different positions. Now, you can sit on it in early labour, just like the ball. If you wanted to birth your baby on it, then we'd recommend you deflate the bottom chamber so that it puts you more in a supported squat, so you can sit on it to birth your baby that way too. However, in real practice, what we have actually found is that most women will turn it around and they will be on hands and knees or all fours, whatever you like to call it, and they will lean over it to birth their babies. And that is a huge advantage because it's very stable. You could lean over a ball to birth your baby in that position, but it's not stable. It needs to be leant against something. The CUB is stable to do that, and also it's really great if somebody does birth on all fours and you're behind them, you post the baby up through their legs and they can pick the baby up and rest it here for a minute while they catch their breath and while everybody celebrates the lovely birth of this new person. Because the CUB is made of an inflatable material, it doesn't actually cause any pressure on the inside of the thighs, so it's not got the same potential to inhibit venous returns. So if you happen to be using it at single inflation, it's fine to use it for a longer period of time than you would need to. Again, it's about your judgment as a professional about what's happening in that situation at that moment in time. But the CUB doesn't have these harder edges, so the potential for inhibiting any return is minimalised. There are also studies that have shown that the use of a birth cushion provides the optimal outcomes in terms of perineal integrity. And that tends to be what most people worry about with any kind of stool or upright position, as are you going to cause more trauma? Studies have actually shown that no, you're not. But it depends on what kind of upright you are. Are you standing? Are you kneeling? Are you on a birth stool? Are you on a birth cushion? These are all things that influence it as well. So that's the main differences. The other thing to point out is you can buy a ball relatively inexpensive, £10, $20, something like that. These more designed birth stools can range, and there's a few on the market, range from around £300-400, $300-400 up to about $2,000. So they are quite expensive, and so you don't tend to find that mothers themselves will buy them to use themselves or bring in. The CUB costs £100. Plus tax, and that stays the same in every country that it's sold in. The price is exactly the same. So it's in one of those ranges where a pregnant person can purchase it for themselves to use in late pregnancy, and then choose to bring it with them to wherever they're going to birth, or have it wherever they are going to birth. So that's the main difference between a ball, a rigid stool, and the CUB.